Hi, so welcome back to the second part of our revision, part 2, right? Tropical rainforest reminder content will be from page 72 all the way to 106. And then part 3 will cover your last bit of content from page 112 to 119. So this is your general revision. You will need to look at the textbook pages to look for more details, more examples that you may need to furnish to make sure that your answer is complete for the examinations. So in this part 2, we will look at what is deforestation, where are the areas that have been deforested, as well as what does why does deforestation occur, because they're all very, very short portions. And finally, we will probably touch a little bit on the final one, which is how deforestation may impact people and the environment. So generally, deforestation, as we have talked about this in class, is the removal of rainforests, okay, or actually any sort of forest areas. But due to the nature of our coverage this year, we are only looking at tropical rainforest deforestation. Um, there is a significant amount of rainforest that has been lost in the past 10 to 20 years, right? And is continuing at a very rapid rate. Now, where exactly is this deforestation happening most? Okay, so we need to come back to where can you find rainforest. In terms of climate, right? There's a very important thing. Uh, if you don't have an equatorial climate, you will not be able to have rainforests. Okay, so tropical rainforest, one very important thing is you need to know what kind of climate. It is the equatorial climate, right? Not other climates, equatorial climate. Now, where in the world can you find, and we are really, where in the world can you find equatorial climate? Is between these two latitudes, 20 degrees north and 20 degrees south of the equator. This is a very narrow band, right, that actually stretches across the equator. And in this band here, because it is very near the equator, you have abundance of sunlight, you have abundance of rainfall, you have high rainfall, high temperature, and these are excellent conditions for plants to grow. So therefore, it can support the growth of rainforest. Okay, how high is average temperature? About 26 degrees plus minus a little bit. So think of Singapore, right? What kind of average temperatures we have, and what kind of high rainfall are we talking about? Anything up to 2,500 mm of annual rainfall. So where exactly are we looking at? Now, if you look at the image near me, right, we're looking at the band right below the Tropic of Cancer and right above the Tropic of Capricorn. So you do find it across all the major continents, as we mentioned earlier. Okay, you find it in the Americas, right? In Central America, you find it parts of Africa, South Africa, okay, Central Africa more accurately, okay, and you find it across where we live in Southeast Asia. So these are your three main areas where you will find your tropical rainforest, the Amazon Basin, Congo Basin, and then Southeast Asia itself. Right, you must be able to know where they are, these three areas are, and it is essential that you, if I were to give you a blank map and ask you to identify generally where will tropical rainforest be found, you can tell me where they are found. Okay, this is found the content that you should know. In Singapore, because of where we are, right, we thankfully had a lot of rainforest, but today it only covers about 3% of total land area. So we are one of the prime examples of what can happen if you let man try to develop these kind of areas. We will destroy everything, and some parts of it, fortunately, are still left. As our main catchment area, in central catchment area, we do have some rainforest left, and in Bukit Timah Nature Reserve, we also have some rainforest that is left. Okay? So over the years, we have lost most of our rainforest. If we didn't catch that, right, this is what it used to be like. All the green areas were our rainforest, and now what do we have left? This. Okay, so it is really dramatic. But we are a very small nation, and we have always viewed development as one of the initial, and even until now, one of the more important things that we are pursuing. So it is a miracle that we actually still managed to keep some of the rainforest. Okay, for some of it is for environmental reasons because it's catchment, and we learned earlier that catchment is very important. If you don't have catchment at all, your country is not going to get enough rainfall. So partially it's because of catchment, partially it's also because this is our biological heritage that we're trying to preserve. So think back to our role play activity, right? Some of the classes actually had a chance to take part in the role play activity. So what are the people who want the rainforest and why do they want it for? So there are people who want it for agriculture. You clear it, you do agriculture. There are people who do mining, they access the precious minerals and resources that are underneath the rainforest. It can be tin, it can be oil, it can be crude oil rather. Okay, it can be a whole host of precious metals or precious resources. We can also do it because we want the wood. Okay, we want the trees, the hardwood for furniture building, for building of construction of buildings. Can also be because you want to use the land for industries, for housings. So as a result of this, right, your rainforest not only gets reduced, it gets fragmented, torn into bits and pieces, and so this is what you end up with. Okay. What does it look like? Hopefully, this jogs your memory. Okay. So we are part of the main culprits in Southeast Asia, okay, where we are deforesting a lot of the rainforest now. So a lot of the lost rainforest areas is actually in Southeast Asia and also parts of India. Data that you can find, okay, data that substantiates this, that shows that we are actually really doing this. Okay, and if we continue doing this, very soon the world's remaining rainforest may be all decimated. Why why does it occur? Right? Remember this case study? Okay, where you have a situation where you reduce the rainforest area because you are using it for plantations. Okay, oil palm plantations, rubber plantations, pineapple plantations, sugarcane plantations, and of course, other sorts of crop that you may want to grow. And as you need more crops, as you want to earn more money, uh, deforesting rainforest is a no-brainer because nobody owns it technically. Government owns it, and you don't have to remove anything that's on it. You just remove the trees, sell it to the loggers, earn some money in the process, and access the what is left behind as agricultural land or residential land or developmental land. Okay, so agricultural activities, we talked about it, right? So this is one big problem. Okay, people like us who live in cities, we can't plant our own food. So where do we get the food from? From large scale farms like this. Where do they get the land to produce the food? Well, guess what? They pilfer the rainforest. Okay? So commercial activities, agricultural activities, it's not only planting. Sometimes you plant because you sell the food, the plants, the plant product as food for humans to consume. Sometimes you plant because you sell the plant products that's produced to animal as animal feed, and you eat the animals, right? Most of us, those of us who are not vegetarian, we actually eat the animals, and so this is all in all, right, agricultural activities are a main cause of this. Okay, cattle ranching. Look at the yep. So those of you who like me eat meat products, cattle is not the only type of meat that uses rainforest land to operate large scale farms. Okay, all sorts of your poultry, pork, lamb, cattle, even chicken. Right, they're all largely produced in land that previously was deforested from rainforest. Oh, my favorite thing in the whole wide world of Big Mac. So, yeah, I'm a culprit of this as well. So when you look at logging itself, right, the wood itself, okay, tropical hardwood is very, very valuable because they last for a very long time. Then the non-hardwood, the ones that is soft and flexible, right? Guess what? They can be used for building materials, for scaffolding, for charcoal, right? So when you go barbecue and you bring charcoal along, guess where the coal comes from? Okay, it comes from rainforest most of the time. Right? So logging is a very profitable thing. So you have to remember, why do we do logging? It's not because we have this hatred for the rainforest. We want to kill it. We want to get rid of it. It's all got to do with money. So when you have an industry that can produce so much money and so much jobs for everybody, okay, you're gonna encourage logging to continue. Okay. Problems with it, right? Problems with logging is you're gonna expose the soil to erosion, right? And as a result, even if you destroy or you have logged the rainforest already and you don't touch it, okay, you leave it alone and you hope that nature will take over and regrow itself, sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, wrong season, after you chop off all the trees, you get a rainy season coming, the topsoil is washed off, you have soil erosion, and that's it. The rainforest is never coming back. Okay, is it totally your fault? Yes, because you chose to chop the trees right before the rainy season. If you had not done so, you've done it during the dry season, you may not lose so much topsoil. Okay, maybe there will be wind and some of the soil will still be swept away, but picking certain times in the year to do certain activities is essential. Okay, mining, right? If you're going to assess, try to get to the precious stones, minerals, and resources that's underneath the rainforest. Okay, what do? You remove the rainforest first. Okay, you build roads to get in, you build railways to get in, and that further decimates rainforest areas Because you're not just going to go there and find the gold and whoa, magically I'm going to transport this out. You're not going to be able to do that. So what you need to do, you need to find a way to transport these large volumes out, right? So when you're going to transport these large volumes out, inevitably you're going to have to build more transport networks to bring your materials that you've excavated out. And when building it, you're actually removing more and more rainforest land. Okay. So case examples in Brazil, what they are doing, what kind of iron ore they're removing, as a result, how much land they're losing. These are all important examples that are highlighted in the textbook, and you need to read the textbook for the examples. Okay. So gentle reminders as we come to the end of part two. Case examples are important. So you need to read and you need to know some of these case examples. Which country, what is happening there? So what is being the rainforest land that is cleared? What is it being used for in, let's for example, Brazil? Okay, you need to be able to tell me because Brazil, the Amazon rainforest in Brazil is being cleared at a very, very rapid rate. But why? Why Brazil? Okay, is the function of the rainforest clearing in Brazil the same as the function of the rainforest clearing in Indonesia? Right? I can tell you now it is different. Right? So you need to tell me what crops do they plant in Indonesia when they clear the rainforest? What do they do with the land in Brazil? Do they plant crops? Do they rear cattle? Do they rear chickens? Right? So you gotta look for that example, and you have to have variety in your examples when you're explaining it in your exam. Okay, read your sources. If we give you a source in the exam, you have to read the source very carefully, and we don't give you a source for fun. We normally give you a source because we expect you to read it and to pick out what is relevant and return it to us in the form of your answers. So if we give you a source as a stimulus and tell you to look at the source, okay, with reference to the source, okay, you have to give us the specific examples that will help your answer be more complete. Okay. Lastly, logic must prevail. Okay. Once again, from the start, we've mentioned this so many times. Geography is a logical subject. So if you're gonna think about it and you're gonna argue for something that's illogical, okay, I know some of you are not exactly the most logical beings in the world, but the normal trend of human logic, okay? We don't want to work so hard, we want to earn more and more money, we want to have a more comfortable life, we hope to have education, we hope to have a more developed state of livelihood, okay? We all want to live in cities because then you don't have to plant your own crops, right? So logic must prevail. Very few people will try to live a life that's against the normal trend of logic. So with that, we've come to the end of the second revision video. The third one will be purely on case examples in Singapore from the textbook that we want to highlight as the end to this series. So watch out for the third video. It should be launched very, very soon. See ya.